So for this offseason, Philadelphia Eagles fans have to be happy. I mean, we've done everything that we've really asked, right? Howie Roseman actually listened to the fan base this year, actually maybe have listened to the scouts this offseason. But I want to ask the question, is this the best offseason that Philadelphia Eagles fans have ever had? Let's get into it.
You want Philly?
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. So today I want to talk about this offseason very quickly, and I want to just go over the question of, is this the best offseason that Philadelphia Eagles fans have ever seen? It's hard pressed for me to realistically look at this and say that it's not, but we're going to talk about some of the other good off seasons, and we'll come to a conclusion hopefully by the end of this. But before we get into that, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the family. We are on the road to 4K. We would love for you guys to join that ride. So let's just start it out, man. No place better to start than the beginning, right? So I'm going to really just be talking about my lifetime, because, I mean, you can go back to like the 60s when we, beat the Packers. We were the only team in history to ever beat the Coach Lombardi team in the playoffs. So, I mean, you can go back to that. You can say that we did some good things then. There wasn't really an off season back then. You can go back to, 2008 when we had the Dream Team and everything blew up. That looked like a good off season. Obviously, it didn't pan out during the season, but that is probably the most comparable if we're being 100% honest. You can look at the 2016 season or off season, I should say, when we were able to get a Alshon Jeffrey, when we were able to get a Patrick Robinson, when we were able to kind of get a bunch of guys that really just fit exactly what we needed. And then obviously the next year we go on and win a Super Bowl. So that one is probably going to stick in fans' minds, especially because this season hasn't played out yet, right? Like, we haven't seen these guys go out there, but we're talking about a premier pass rusher. You're talking about a cornerback 2, but a top cornerback 2, right? James Bradberry, you can make an argument that he can be a CB1 on a lot of teams, which he can be, but at the end of the day, he is a very, very strong cornerback 2, and that's where we're going to be having him play. Jaquiski Tartt was a huge signing, obviously a good deal, but I think that having a safety like that can come in, can plug and play, can teach these young guys at the safety position, because we have, a Kayvon Wallace, a Jacoby Stevens if he switches back to the safety spot. You have an Anthony Harris that's not that old. He's not that old. You got a Marcus Epps, obviously, that's still young. So there's so many young players at that position that it was imperative. It was imperative. I think there's really no other way of putting it. It was imperative for us to go out there and get ourselves a safety that had some experience, some secondary experience. Obviously, with the cornerback room, you have Bevy, you have a ton of experience there with Darius Slay and James Bradberry, and then you add an Avonte Maddox. So there wasn't really a need for that. You weren't looking for a veteran at that position, especially after you got James Bradberry. So you look at the safety spot, that was a big spot for a lot of Eagles fans of contention that we were like, we need somebody there. We need somebody. Jaquiski Tartt, I think, fills everything. Every, box is checked off with a Jaquiski Tartt. Can he be a long-term option? Maybe not, but I think everything else, so maybe not every single box. We'll leave that box unchecked, but we'll see what happens. So, again, you look back at that 2016 team, and if you ask me to go back to 2016, that offseason, coming out of, Carson Wentz's rookie year, did I think that those couple of moves would have made us a Super Bowl team? No, I did not. But this year it feels, I'm not saying that we're going to be a Super Bowl team, but it feels like if we can get a good leap out of guys like Jalen Hurts, guys like, Marcus Epps, guys like, even, look, if our defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, can get his head out of his rear end, our defense could be very scary. I would venture to say that our secondary is better than that 2017 team. I would venture to say that our defensive line, I won't say it's better, but it competes against that 2017 line, right? I would definitely think that our linebacking core right now is better than it was in 2017. Cornerbacks, I definitely think we're better. Safeties, you can make the argument we were better back then. Jaquiski Tartt versus a Malcolm Jenkins, that's really what it was. Obviously, you had, Corey Graham, I believe was his name, playing that third safety. You had Rodney McLeod. So you can make the argument that we were probably better back then, but I think everything else, we are either very, very close, like I said, with the defensive line, or we're better. And then you look at the offense. Look, obviously the Carson Wentz that we had in 2017 is not the Carson Wentz that we had going into 2018, 2019. It changed. But in 2017, Carson Wentz was a MVP candidate. You know, do I think that Jalen Hurts is going to go out there and be an MVP candidate? Maybe not. But you look at all the weapons that we were able to put around him, right? You have already a Devontae Smith. You're going into the offseason knowing that Dallas Goedert is that number one guy, right? You know, when you look at Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz, there was nobody really, until obviously the last couple of years, but even then, that didn't really matter. There was nobody really, you know, hedging Zach Ertz. You know, now Dallas Goedert kind of has that feel. He is that tight end number one. It's got to be a beautiful feeling. So you look at all these other, like, realistically, am I going to say that the Dream Team had a better offseason just because they signed a Nnamdi Asomugha? Like, no, I'm not. That team was terrible. They decided, maybe, you know, hindsight is 2020, right? So if you were asking me in 2018 to compare off seasons, maybe back then I would be like, oh, that 22 through 2008, I mean, it's the Dream Team. But we really, we didn't need a backup quarterback, right? We didn't go get a Vince Young. We didn't need that. We went and got positions that we have not worried about in years. In years. I can't name the last time outside of Terrell Owens that the Philadelphia Eagles went out there and got a premier wide receiver. I can't name it for you. I can't tell you the last time that happened. I can't tell you the last time that the Eagles went out there and got themselves a strong cornerback room. Can't tell you. I can't tell you the last time the Eagles went out there and spent some money on a defensive lineman that wasn't an old guy. That wasn't a guy that was, you know, 30, 31 and was just going to be here and there snaps, you know, just production, you know, coming off the bench. We got ourselves bona fide stars at almost every position. And then linebacker, I don't got to tell you about linebacker. If you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, you know all about linebacker. When's the last time we can say the Eagles, I guess, you know, look, Nakobe Dean was in the third round, so you can look at Jordan Hicks, right? You can look at Michael Kendricks, who I think went in the second round, and those were probably the last time. But that was, what, 5, 6 years ago now? 7 years ago? Maybe longer? I mean, this is something that Eagles fans have been waiting for a long time, just a resurgence in talent and youth on this roster. So I'm excited. And to answer the question, yes, I think this is the best offseason that I've seen as a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Now, will it, you know, translate into wins? That's a whole nother topic. You know, we'll see what happens. But what I will say is that I think that a lot of the NFC East is afraid of us right now, and it feels great. It feels amazing. So y'all let me know what y'all think down below in the comments. Do you think this was the best offseason that Philadelphia Eagles fans have seen ever? If not, when was the best one? When was a better one? I would love to know. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here. Peace.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a Bird Gang Nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season here, early time to do 'em in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.